I'll never forget the night I stared at a blank screen, seconds before a deadline. Everything I had worked on for weeks crashed, literally. My laptop froze, the project corrupted, and the only word echoing in my mind was failure. Maybe you've been there too, failing an exam, watching a business pitch collapse, or walking away from a relationship you thought would last forever. But before you sink into that word, failure, stick with me. Because by the end of this video, you'll walk away with 17 powerful motivational quotes about failure in life that can turn every no into your next step forward. So if you've been searching for failure quotes or even quotes about failure and success, this is the video for you. First, let me ask you this. What if your worst failure in life was actually the start of the best chapter of your life? Yes, at this time it sounds strange, but think about it. What if every bruise, every rejection, every so-called disaster wasn't proof you're done, but proof you're still in the game and you're going to win? I will share with you in a bit about one of the worst times in my life later in this video, a time I thought I was finished. It was a rock-bottom moment that I felt like ending everything, but I didn't. And the only reason I didn't was because of one line, one quote that I'll share with you in this video, so stay with me. But before we get there, let's reframe the word failure into something much purposeful, data. Today isn't a trophy day or a trash day. Today is a data day. And with that in mind, let's move on with our first segment, permission to fail. The first mindset shift we all need is permission. Permission to fail without shame, without the idea that it's the end. Without the idea that we are useless. Let's dive into some fresh words you may not have heard before. Quote 1. Failure is rehearsal, not rejection. Think about that. Every time you stumble, you're not being denied. You're rehearsing for the real stage. Just like an actor who misses lines in rehearsal, failure is the safe space that gets you ready for the big performance. Quote 2. Your first draft of success is called failure. Every writer knows the first draft is messy, ugly, and half-broken. But without that draft, there is no masterpiece. Every failed exam, every clumsy first pitch is just version 1 of your future success. Quote 3. You didn't fail. You collected data. This one hits deep. Because sometimes failure isn't about what you lost, but about what you learned. That breakup taught you what love is not. That rejected idea told you what the market doesn't want. You're building a database every time you fall. Quote 4. The bruise is proof you moved. A bruise isn't evidence of weakness, it's evidence of impact. It means you showed up. The pain you feel is the receipt for effort given, not proof that you're worthless. Quote 5. Closed doors are detours, not dead ends. If one door slammed in your face, it doesn't mean the road is blocked. It means you're being rerouted to the right destination. Closed doors are simply divine redirections. These are the quotes on failure I wish someone had whispered to me when I thought I was done. And if you're listening now, I hope one of these already lights a spark inside you. 1. Story arc, failure, pivot, win. Now let me take you back to one of my own turning points. I was working toward a certification exam that I believed would change my life. I studied for months, pored over notes, and rehearsed every possible question. And when the day came, I failed. Not just by a little. I bombed it. That one result pulled a thread that unraveled everything. Nights grew long. I scrolled through social media, seeing everyone else succeed while I sat there in silence, comparing my broken reality to their highlight reels. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't eat. The red mark on that exam paper felt like it was tattooed on my forehead. At 2 in the morning, I sat staring at the ceiling, and for the first time I thought, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Maybe failure isn't just something I experienced. Maybe it's who I am. But then I came across a line I'd never seen before. Success is just failure recycled. And something in me clicked. What if failure wasn't trash? What if it were raw material? I thought of it like scrap metal. You don't throw it away. You melt it down and rebuild it into something stronger. That one thought pulled me up from my bed. The next morning, I rewrote my entire study plan. I didn't try to leap into perfection. I just aimed for one small win a day. 10 questions reviewed, 1 chapter reread, a little prototype rebuilt. Tiny steps. It wasn't glamorous. I failed tests again. I got questions wrong. But each attempt was new data, each stumble a rehearsal. And then came the moment, a retest, and I passed. Not perfectly, but enough to move forward. And that was all I needed. This is why I say, if you don't fail, you're not even trying. Because failure isn't a sign you're unworthy. It's the only evidence that you're moving forward. So when I tell you these motivational quotes about failure aren't just nice words on a page, I mean it. They're lifelines. They're bricks you can use to climb out of the pit. And if you're a student who just failed an exam, or an entrepreneur whose idea just collapsed, listen, there are quotes about failure and not giving up that could be the difference between you quitting tonight and rising tomorrow. Now let's talk about something people rarely mention. Your ego is the biggest enemy of growth. Failure doesn't just bruise your pride, it shows you where your system is weak. And once you see the weakness, you can fix it. That's why this next set of quotes is all about turning stumbles into systems. Quote 6. Success is just failure recycled. This is one of my favorite failure to success quotes because it flips the script completely. What if every failed draft, every rejection email, every no was just raw material you get to recycle into the next attempt? Think of Thomas Edison. He didn't have 10,000 failures. He had 10,000 building blocks recycled into one working light bulb. The key is to keep everything you've learned and let your ego throw nothing away. Quote 7. Every fall edits the way you rise. A fall isn't the end, it's an editor. Each mistake trims what doesn't work. That botched presentation? Now you know your pacing was too fast. That failed interview? Now you know the question you need to master. Each fall hands you a red pen for your own story. Use it. Quote 8. Make the attempt so small that fear feels silly. Fear thrives when the task looks like a mountain, but break it down into pebbles and suddenly the climb feels possible. Want to start running? Forget 10 miles. Just put your shoes on and step outside for 5 minutes. That's it. When fear sneers, shrink the attempt until fear itself looks ridiculous. Quote 9. Perfection hides. Progress shows up. Ego screams, be perfect or don't try at all. But progress whispers, just show up. Perfection hides in the shadows, waiting for the right time. Progress is messy, sweaty, and public. And it wins every time. Even if you're embarrassed, progress beats invisibility. Quote 10. Intervals of courage beat bursts of confidence. So if you've been looking for motivational quotes about failure and success, remember this. It's not about how loudly you roar once. It's about how consistently you whisper, I'll try again. Quote 11. You don't run out of chances, you run out of tries. People think failure means they're out of opportunities. No, the only time chances die is when you stop showing up. As long as you're breathing and willing, you still have another try. Quote 12. If the lesson sticks, the loss pays. A loss that teaches is never wasted. The pain you went through brought you wisdom. If the lesson stays, the cost was worth it. That's why some of the hardest failures in life leave behind the most priceless clarity. Quote 13. Your future self is built from the attempts everyone else avoids. Most people avoid the scary, uncertain paths. But if you're willing to stumble through them, you're building a version of yourself others will envy later. The things you fail at today are the bricks of the person you'll become tomorrow. Quote 14. Breakdowns are the backstage of breakthroughs. Nobody claps for the struggle behind the curtain. They only see the standing ovation at the end. But breakdowns, the tears, the doubts, the sleepless nights, those are backstage rehearsals for the big reveal. Remember, even the most celebrated people walked through private failures first. Quote 15. Courage is choosing next after no. It's easy to be brave when you're celebrated. Real courage shows up when you're told no, and you decide to move to the next attempt anyway. That's how grit is forged, not in applause, but in silence after rejection. Quote 16. Grades measure memory. Failures teach mastery. This one is for every student listening. A grade only shows what you remembered in that moment. But failure, failing an exam, failing a project, forces you to understand, to master, to rebuild your foundations. So if you failed, don't shrink, lean into the mastery. Quote 17. The path to good is paved with not yet. Nobody starts at great. Nobody even starts out good. The only way forward is through hundreds of messy not yets. Every painting starts ugly. Every song starts off key. Every dream begins broken, but not yet is the toll you pay on the way to good. And that's the heart of it. These are not just quotes about failure and success. They're reminders that failure is success recycled, repurposed, reborn. They prove that failure is success quotes aren't contradictions. They're reality. So the next time you stumble, remember, it's not about the ego, and it's not even about the loss. It's about the identity you're building through the trials. Because if you keep trying, you're still in the game. And if you're still in the game, you haven't failed, you're just in progress. 1. Mini workshop, the F.A.I.L framework. Now before we wrap up, I want to leave you with something practical, a way to turn any breakdown into a step-by-step rebuild. I call it the F.A.I.L framework. 4 simple steps. The F stands for find the trigger. Ask yourself, what exactly failed? Was it the idea, the timing, the preparation, or the execution? Don't just say everything failed. Get specific. The A stands for analyze. Once you've spotted the failure, strip it apart. Which parts were actually under your control and which weren't? Collect the data, don't collect the shame. The I stands for iterate. Don't wait for next month, don't wait for perfect conditions. Within 24 hours, make one tiny change and try again. It doesn't matter how small, send one more email, study one more chapter, rewrite one sentence. And finally, the L stands for loop. Do this 3 times, find, analyze, iterate, then reassess. By the 3rd loop, you'll already see growth. This is how failure into success happens, not randomly, but systematically. Remember that exam story I left hanging earlier? The one where I bombed so badly I thought I was finished? I went back and I ran this very process without even knowing it had a name. I found the trigger. My timing was off. I analyzed what I kept forgetting under pressure. I iterated with small daily practice questions, and I looped it 3 times. The next time I sat for that test, I didn't ace it, but I passed. That pass opened the next door, and that door opened the next. Looking back now, I realize failure didn't end that chapter. It named it. The chapter wasn't the end. It was the beginning of resilience. And that's what I want you to take with you right now. You are not a failure, you are a builder. Every stumble is just raw material. Every rejection is a rehearsal. Every fall is an edit in the way you rise. So here's what I want you to do. Drop a comment with your current L and tell me which one of these quotes you're claiming for yourself today. And before you click away, save this video. Because there will be a day when you're tired, when you're on the edge of quitting, and you'll need these motivational quotes about failure and success to pull you back up. Share it with a friend who feels like giving up. You might just be the one who hands them their turning point, who saves them. Now, before you go, you can watch this other video here on some of the top quotes for success in life. The link will also be below this video.